Hello and welcome to My Way or the AI Way, the podcast where we explore new ways of doing things using AI. And today we're diving into a very important business function for all businesses, the role of sales. And my guest is AI expert, author, and keynote speaker, Tim Cortinovis. Tim, welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's so great to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me, Scott. I'm so happy.
Thank you. And congratulations on the book. That's a big achievement. What inspired you to write a book on this topic?
I myself work in sales for the last 25 years, and my AI journey, I'm right now 52 years old, and my journey into AI started when I was a nerdish young boy at the age of 15, 16, in the midst of the 80s, and I got my first computer, actually a Commodore 64, and I just tried a program that was called Eliza, a little bit like a chatbot nowadays, but now quite far away from that capabilities, but it was a very first glance of AI. And since then, I'm fascinated by the topic and I took it with me, and also in my university studies and so on. And all things I did, I thought, but how could I use automation, or namely AI, to make it better? And though I started in sales, just having my degree in linguistics in the year 2001, and I started about thinking, how could I apply AI and automation into sales? And so um, I I became a freelance expert in 2011. Since then, I'm traveling the globe thinking about how could we do better business. And so I'm very, very happy seeing the hype right now around AI. And I think it will become more than a hype. And so it was quite obvious to write a book about applying these principles, what we see from generative AI and machine learning, applying this to sales and making our sales jobs better and, of course, more efficient. But I think there's more into it.
Okay. So yeah, you've been at this AI business a lot longer than most of us, and who knows where it's going in the future. It's moving so quickly. But let's start with today. How can salespeople be using AI, or what are some of the common ways salespeople are using AI as of today, as it stands?
Yeah, we have to differentiate between the use cases you could use on your own, totally without asking even your organization, maybe. And one of my most liked examples of these use cases is applying prompting in AI, like let's say ChatGPT or Claude or whatsoever what you're working with, and prompting it to assume the persona of your best buyer, your buyer avatar or your buyer persona, or however you call it, and you can prompt it and tell it that it should act like your best buyer, and then you're able to reflect all what you never dared your customer to ask. And for instance, you can use it to refine a quote or an email to your customer and ask the chatbot, do you like it? Why don't you like it? Do you understand it? What is the best part of it? And where can I make it better for you to like it more, or to close the deal? And how can I write that email better? And you can do this with one single email. You can do this with a whole campaign, even in marketing, to make better connections with your clients or your prospects. That is the first very basic use case. It's quite simple. You can start right away to do this. And of course, you can use also the chatbot to write the whole email. Of course, you can give it 2 to 3 fragments of the idea you have and ask it to write a compelling email. That also works very well. And then there are more use cases and we get more refined, so to say it. And we can automate whole processes. There also you can begin by using it on your own, and then maybe you work with your organization or you hire an expert from the outside and to implement it as a process. For instance, the AI I'm using the most, nearly, and I like the most, is Perplexity.ai. And for the last 6 months, I haven't been Googling. I just use Perplexity to do searches on the web. And what it does, if you don't know it, it just summarizes the first 5 to 10 search results for you. And it actually gives you the link to the search results. So you get the text. It's a natural language text. It's a summary of the search results. And if you are in doubt if something is hallucinated or if it is right, you can go in detail using the link provided by Perplexity. So I like it a lot. And this is more important for us in sales, you can use Perplexity very good for sales intelligence, for market research. You can, if you would like to enter, let's say the market in New Zealand or in Thailand or wherever you're going, and you can ask for market details, the competition in that market, the market numbers, where is the market heading, and you get very actually good working results from it. And whether you keep on working with that numbers on your own as a human, or you put it in a process, and then you can marry that results with in ChatGPT, for instance, with your profile. And so you could ask ChatGPT, okay, my profile is that I'm selling, my case, keynote speeches around AI, and how could my offerings, my services, put value to that company in the market? So you can just address the market, or you can ask Perplexity on a certain market or on a prospect in that market, and then ask ChatGPT to write a compelling sales email on your behalf using your profile, the market insights, and the company insights, and put it all together. And the results are so tremendously good. I've done this last week for a client, and they were entering the market in Uruguay and South America, and it was astonishing good. And in a couple of minutes, we had a prospect's email to send it out as one-to-one or as a campaign. It was wild.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a few different cases there. You're using it for research in that case, and I guess it's making that whole process a lot more efficient and even getting better results from what you're saying. But you also spoke about using it to sort of almost as a training tool to test your pitch and refine your pitch based against a persona. I'm really interested in that. That's something I've been playing around with a bit recently on ChatGPT, is this idea of building different personas into it so that you can get different responses. So can you just explain a little bit about how you actually do that in practice? Is it just telling the model how you want it to behave? Do you sort of tell it what sort of personality it should have? Can you have more than one persona that you're bouncing ideas off?
Yes, of course. Okay, and you can give it whatever persona you would like, but it is not recommendable to use more than one persona at a time. So you would start another thread using other persona, and the important thing here is to be very clear. I think we can compare working with ChatGPT or another large language model almost like with working with a human team member. This is AI, is highly capable of things, but it can't read your mind. As humans either can't read your mind. So you have to speak out or write on the prompt everything that is important. So you have to be very clear and concise in your wording and describe your buyer persona. So you have, of course, you have an age, you have a gender, you have a background, an educational background, a professional background. Maybe you have a family background or whatever interests might interfere in the sales process. And you might want to prompt the chatbot also to behave in an understandable way and be clear as well. The more concrete you get here, the better the results you will get out of it. I see a lot of people making this mistake. They expect that the machine and the automation does everything for them and it runs automatically. And this couldn't be far from the truth. That's actually not the case. Speaking in numbers, around 30% of the task is done by the AI. So there's still 70% left. So we have to think about the prompting. We have to think about the output and so on. So it's not possible to just hit the button and let it go. That would be that wouldn't do the job, to be clear. Okay, so using the persona, you have to be very clear, concise. If you haven't that idea about your ideal customer right now, you even could use, let's say, ChatGPT to create it for you. There are some tools like Keywords Everywhere. This is a free tool, and it's an extension for your Chrome or Brave browser. And with Keywords Everywhere in place, going to ChatGPT, you get that's a prompt generator and you can tell it, I want to create my buyer persona. This is my offering. For instance, I'm selling knitting machinery on the Asian market, and I want the output to be in English or in Chinese or Japanese or whatsoever. And then you hit the button, and Keywords Everywhere generates the prompt for ChatGPT for you, and then you execute that prompt. And you will get very good results. For instance, you have Le Tan Tran in Vietnam. This is your buyer persona. She's 32 years old. She has 2 children, and her family background is kind of difficult. So she has to work and to care for her family at the same time. And on the markets are developing really, really fast, and she has to keep up with the markets. And then you have a very clear idea of your persona as an output from ChatGPT, and you could put that output another time in the next prompt and ask ChatGPT to be in the place of Le Tan Tran, and ask it if she likes your landing page or your sales email or whatsoever material you have.
Yep. So you're testing the ideas on it. And I presume once you've created that persona the first time, you can go back and reuse it, can you? So over time, obviously there's a lot of work refining it, but do you get the benefit over time of being able to reuse some of that work more efficiently?
Yeah, of course. You have, when you work with OpenAI, with ChatGPT, you get all your last chats. You have the list there, and you could always re-enter an older chat and to start where you left it.
Okay, great. So from what you've described so far, AI's enhancing the sales process, not replacing it. In fact, you sort of quoted maybe 30% of it is there and 70% is still the skill and the experience of the salesperson. What are the skills of, say, a modern salesperson? Have they changed in terms of the skills that someone would need to be successful in sales these days because of AI, or is it still the same core skill set, just enhanced with AI?
No, I think it's a different skill set.
Okay.
It's not just enhanced, because using this is not optional, as all your competitors will use it. You have to use it as well, and it's nearly mandatory. You don't have to be a computer science person to use it. Not at all. That's not the point. But I think the idea, it's like driving using Google Maps, for instance. And when I started doing this, let's say 10 years ago, I first didn't trust the AI, and I thought I myself could find the way better than the machine, but that was not the case. And I started recognizing this, and I think in the core skill set for salespeople is the idea of data-driven sales. So the idea that when we enter the office in the morning, and you have the list of 100 leads, and you have just time to get in contact with 10 of your leads, and to maybe close the deal or getting closer to closing the deal. That was, before that was our core skill. I would say this gut feeling whom to call. 10 out of 100. And right now there are so many data about your customers from your CRM system or wherever, and you have to trust the data and to find ways to close deals out of data. And in the digital world, you have these huge, you don't have the direct contact oftentimes. Sometimes yes, but oftentimes not. And I think this is the most important core skill nowadays for salespeople, to have that trust in the data and to take their knowledge about how clients react and what clients need and how to bring value to the customer and get the connection using digital tools.
Okay. And where have you seen it go wrong? Like what could salespeople do wrong with AI that would have the opposite effect?
Yeah, maybe if you don't care, chatbots tend to hallucinate. That's a problem. But that is getting smaller every day. But sometimes their tone of voice is not your tone, and it's too much enthusiastic, for instance, or not the trustable tone of voice you would need in a sales connection. That would be a problem, of course. And sometimes if you have digital tools or AI in between you and your client, you have to be very focused to have an idea right now where that specific lead is and where it is heading. That would also be a problem if you don't focus on it.
Okay. And what would you say are some of the misconceptions of AI, of perhaps salespeople who haven't yet adopted it? Yeah, what are some of the things that are holding people back?
It might seem to them really complex. I think that's one of the hugest barriers to integrate AI in your daily work. First is it might seem complex and a new program to learn, and yet you have to do a lot with all the rest, your CRM system or your ERP or even Microsoft Word or whatsoever, and just another program. And you want to focus on your clients and the human connection in sales. You don't want to. You're not sometimes you're not a technology guy. Let's put it like this. But even if you are, it might seem confusing. Then the development is so fast, and it happens even to me. I'm into the topic each and every day, and that is my passion. And this getting so fast that it is getting um, more and more difficult to keep up with the development. And so this might hinder you as well. You think if you're just right now focusing on one tool and learning that tool, and that might become obsolete the next month. And instead of doing your sales work and your connections and so on, you just you find yourself researching for new tools and adopting to new tools. Yes, obviously this can't be the way.
Yeah, that's the challenge, isn't it? Because there's a learning curve with each new tool you take on. And as you say, the landscape's changing so quickly that, you don't want to invest all that time in one tool and then have to move to a next one. But that's a bit of the nature of it at the moment. I guess things are moving quickly. In terms of tools, what are some of the tools you're using, or what are the tools you would recommend at the moment? What would be your top three?
Yeah, my top three would be Perplexity.ai, ChatGPT, and then that is not kind of an AI tool, but it's make.com. This is my third favorite tool right now. This is a platform, it's a no-code, low-code platform where you can connect all the other. And what I've described just in the beginning, if you want to do a market research or a company, you have a Google sheet or an Excel sheet with a list of prospect accounts of companies, and you can run it through Perplexity on a recurring process using Make. And that's very, very simple. You just 2 or 3 clicks and you have connected the Google sheet in Make with Perplexity, and then the output of Perplexity and the same Google sheet. And so it saves a lot of time and it automates your processes on a very low level. But in terms of tools, I would like to remark also that there are coming a lot of tools to the market. Some there just for a couple of weeks or months. And so, yes, it is worth to wait a little bit until adopting a new tool. And I think it is better to focus on 3 to 4 tools that are doing the job than trying out each new tool and not really using and getting advantage out of one tool. Really, I don't think you need so much tools and sales. You need to produce text, you need market insights, and maybe an image. Sometimes I talk to clients or the audience members of the keynote, and they tell me they are doing sales a very, well, let's say, an old-fashioned way. And they take slide decks with 100 or even more slides to their first customer meeting. And so they have to, the week prior to that meeting, they have to just build the presentation. And this is, for me, it's a waste of time. And that would be very handy. Another tool I'm not using personally, as I don't do slide decks with this sizes for meetings, but Microsoft Copilot that does a very, very good job when it comes to just making a presentation out of a Word document. This use case seems to be nearly irrelevant and very easy, but it actually saves a lot of time for the people doing this job in sales.
Okay. So helping you with your research, helping you prepare your pitch, and then helping you effectively present that by improving your emails, your presentations. There's lots of ways it's helping salespeople there. Where do you see it going over the next 5 years? How do you see it evolving? Is it going to be replacing more functions? Particularly, we hear a lot of talk about agents coming out. Do you see, where do you see things going?
Yeah. there. Okay, 5 years is it's a long time in the age of agents. But okay, let's start with agents. That's a good keyword here. And I myself, I'm applying 2 agents in my business. Myself, I have one Rick, I called it, and Rick is the face to the customer. Rick handles all my incoming emails, answering my emails on my behalf, and it does a really, really good job. And I got feedback from my customers that it is really good. Rick is also accessible via WhatsApp as a WhatsApp chatbot, and he has access to my calendar as well. And so when an inquiry comes in, it checks my availability on a certain date and sends it out as a answer to that inquiry. Really good. And then I have my personal AI assistant that's called Sam, and I communicate with Sam also using WhatsApp, so I can, and Sam has access to my email, to my calendar, and to my to-do is my tasks list. And so I can tell Sam, just sending a message, okay, please, I've got an inquiry from Louise in London, and please, Sam, send Louise an email asking if there's an answer to my quotation yet. And so Sam is able to connect to my CRM system, search for their email addresses, writes the email, and sends it out on my behalf. So I think this will be the next future of sales, assisted sales. And then what we see also right now is avatars. And I think we will see more and more real-time avatars that can be your face even in a video conference. And then we will see pre-sales agents with a face, with an avatar face that looks really, really human. And my time horizon for this is around 2 years, I think. We see agents rise. And the huge question, of course, here is for us in sales, how can we adapt? I think this will make a huge lever for our work, but we have to be very careful. And I personally, I'm convinced that we won't be out of the game, but we have to keep up with this skill set, as you mentioned it. And here the important point is, I think the sales on a lower level for the product or the service will be handed more and more over to the machine, to the agent, or to the avatar. And so we in sales necessarily must be able to communicate on a C level. So we have to sell to other companies on the C level why their company, their supply bot should buy at our more or less. That's the big idea. So we have to focus on our own growth, our personal development, to getting better and to understand not only the features and the values of our products, but also the bigger problems and the background, the horizon of the customer company. And that might be totally different. So we have to answer for us in sales, where is the sales, where's our prospects or our customers company heading? What are their plans, their goals, and where can we deliver value to that overall goals? So that's a whole other question than to ask what are the features of our product right now.
That's fascinating, the way you're using those agents already. How did you do that? Have you built them yourself, or was that a third-party product you used for that?
No, I do this on my own as it's part of my work. As I have to understand the technology, and I always think it is better to understand it. You have to have it in hands. So although I work a lot with freelance developers also, but the very beginning and the idea and how to do it, I'm doing it on my own. And yes, as I said, I started in doing this some 35 years ago. So I emphasize always there's no need to study computer sciences. It has become quite easy, but right now I'm doing it on my own, yes.
Tim, really fascinating discussion. Like to hear where you're at, to see how you're bringing some of your clients along with you, and particularly your thoughts on where it's going. I'm glad to hear it's not replacing the sales role. I think a lot of people are nervous their jobs are going to be replaced. It sounds like there'll still be a big role for humans in sales, but the tools are really changing the game. And as you say, if you're not using them already, you want to start using them, because your competitors are going to be using them to get the advantage. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom.
It was a great pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah. Now, for the listeners, if they want to perhaps get their hands on your book or learn a bit more about the work you're doing, what's the best way for them to follow along and to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm mostly hanging out on LinkedIn. If you connect on LinkedIn with me, there I post 4 to 5 times a week all around AI in sales. And of course, the book is available on the Amazons. Just go there and you can get your copy as an ebook or as a paperback book. And it's around 200 pages for the paperback book. Selling smarter, not harder. If you do so, I would be more than happy, and you would be very, very helpful for other readers. Just leave a short review, please, on the Amazons if you read the book. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, and then I would be more than happy to see you and talk to you on LinkedIn.
Well, thank you so much, Tim. It was a pleasure chatting with you, and good luck with the book. And we could check back in 5 years and see where we're at with this fast evolving technology. Thank you.
Yeah, I would be more than happy to do this. Thank you so much, Scott, and all the best to you.
Thank you. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that chat with Tim Cortinovis. If you know anyone who works in sales who you think would benefit from that discussion, please share the show with them. I've included links to Tim's book and his contact details in the show notes if you want to get in touch with Tim. And thank you for listening. Until next week, I'm Scott Davison, and this is My Way or the AI Way.